We're continuing to read from Simulacra and Simulation. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Absolute zero, ground zero advertising. That's the chapter. Today, what we are experiencing is the absorption of all virtual modes of expression into that of advertising. All original cultural forms, all determined languages are absorbed in advertising because it has no depth. It is instantaneous and instantaneously forgotten. Triumph of superficial form, of the smallest common denominator of all signification. Degree zero of meaning, triumph of entropy over all possible tropes. The lowest form of energy of the sign. This unarticulated, instantaneous form, without a past, without a future, without the possibility of metamorphosis, has power over all the others. All current forms of activity tend toward advertising, and most exhaust themselves therein. Not necessarily advertising itself, the kind that is produced as such, but the form of advertising that of a simplified operational mode, vaguely seductive, vaguely consensual. All the modalities are confused therein, but in an attenuated, agitated mode. More generally, the form of advertising is one in which all particular contents are annulled at the very moment when they can be transcribed into each other, whereas what is inherent to weighty enunciations, to articulated forms of meaning or of style, is that they cannot be translated into each other any more than the rules of a game can be. This long movement towards translatability and thus toward a complete combinatorial, which is that of the superficial transparency of everything, of the absolute advertising, of which professional advertising is, once again, only in episodic form, can be read in the vicissitudes of propaganda. The whole scope of advertising and propaganda comes from the October Revolution and the market crash of 1929. Both languages of the masses issuing from the mass production of ideas or commodities, their registers, separate at first, progressively converge. Propaganda becomes the marketing and merchandising of idea forces, of political men and parties with their trademark image. Propaganda approaches advertising as it would the vehicular model of the only great and veritable idea force of this competing society, the commodity and the mark. This convergence defines a society, ours, in which there is no longer any difference between the economic and the political, because the same language reigns in both, from one end to the other. A society, therefore, where the political economy, literally speaking, is finally realized. That is to say, dissolved as a specific power, as an historical mode of social contradiction. Resolute, absorbed in a language without contradiction, like a dream, because traversed by purely superficial intensities. And that's from Simulation and Simulacra and Simulation. And I have to say, if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing half the videos that I make. Join my Patreon, you'll see all of the videos that I make. Support both platforms to the extent that you can. And remember, ignoring and not supporting people like me, even though this production is very low, if you ignore us and you don't support us and we disappear, you will feel it more and more in society. Even though we're ordinary people bringing you crucial information. Until next time, take care.